on a rail strike has been averted after the White House helped negotiate a tentative agreement between unions and railway companies. The planned shutdown would have dealt a blow to the struggling economy. Well, for all this, we can speak to our U.S. correspondent, Eric Ham, who joins me from Washington. Good to see you, Eric. President Biden welcoming what he describes as a tentative agreement between unions and rail companies to avert a nationwide train strike, which would have begun tomorrow. What do we know about the terms of that tentative deal?
Yeah, that's right, Charles. This has been something that was seen as a looming potential disaster, not only economically for the country, but politically for President Biden and his party as they head into the all-important midterm elections. We know that there has been these ongoing negotiations that have been taking place, and now we are learning that a deal has been struck between union workers and the railways that will actually provide capped medical attention to rail workers, as well as additional time off for these workers. And so those were the two biggest sticking points that was holding up this agreement. And now we see that they actually have come to terms on this. They have been working on this, actually, Charles, for now, what we're told, 21 hours to try to avert this strike. And of course, we know the strike would have been catastrophic for the economy. We're talking $2 billion a day in total losses if this strike had gone through, which would have been demonstrably difficult given what we've already seen with rising inflation in the United States. And so this is seen as a disaster averted by the president and his party. We know the president had continued to try to call on the workers and the railways to continue until they got a deal. And now we see that a deal has been struck. And now, of course, this still means that some of those Amtrak lines, and for our viewers, Amtrak is the passenger railway line. They were actually beginning to avert some of their lines as a result of a potential and looming strike. But we're told that now they're going to begin operating back to normal now that this deal has been put in place. And so, again, what we're seeing here is capped medical costs for the workers, as well as additional time off for many of these workers who have been working pretty much long hours since the beginning of the pandemic.
And I suppose a note of caution should accompany that deal, because the operative word there is tentative, isn't it?
That's right. This is a tentative deal that has been put in place. There still needs to be the details that need to be ironed out. And of course, the contracts need to be signed. Now, what we are told is that the union workers are actually prepared not to actually strike until later this month to give more time for management as well as union leaders to iron out an agreement. And so, again, what we're seeing here is that while it certainly appeared as though this crisis was getting closer and closer to a reality, now it looks as though this is something that has been averted. And we know that President Biden had been actually calling for the two groups to continue to engage in discussions. Also, we know that his labor secretary, also an actual union member, was actually also part of those negotiations and ensuring that both sides continue to negotiate until they actually got a deal.
Just moving away from the rail strike, Eric, President Biden, I understand, expected to deliver another much anticipated speech. What's the focus of that address?
Yeah, as I said, we're 7 weeks away from the midterm elections. And so what we are now seeing is the president going on the offensive to ensure or to hope that his party maintains control of both chambers of Congress. Now, look, President Biden has seen a massive rebound of his polling numbers in the last few weeks, going from as low as 36% to now he's at 45%. So a 9-point swing for the president in just a matter of weeks. And quite frankly, what we're seeing now is Joe Biden's poll numbers are actually higher than any other president except for both of the Bushes heading into his first midterm elections. And we know those presidents were seen as very successful. And so what we're now seeing is Biden on the offensive, again, focusing and doubling down on what he sees as MAGA Republicans' extremism to try to combat this and make this election more about former President Donald Trump and Republicans who support his ideology in terms of where the country is headed, and not focusing so much on the inflation or issues like that that continue to cause problems for many Americans across the country.
Eric, thanks very much indeed. Eric Ham, Arise U.S. correspondent, talking to me there from Washington.